to hunt a beast, you must understand it. Know how it behaves when trapped. Know how it feeds when it's hungry. Know how it kills when it has to. These Orruks are some of the most violent of their kind. They do not stop when they kill. They just keep running towards the next obstacle, smashing it to bits. Our mission is not to stop them, but to guide them into Dead Man's Canyon. They will unwillingly prove to be a good distraction against the Beastclaw herd we've been tracking. Maybe their common animosity will dissipate once they meet. That is why we must prepare. Form up!
The guttural roars interrupt Lawson. The Orruk drums and chanting are loud and wild, introducing a violent frenzy in what was a silent and quiet battle. Hordes of mounted brutes and Ardboys pour into view, bashing their weapons against their scrapped armor. The Megaboss twins, renowned for their cunning ways, are also here, but something seems to be missing. The horde opens up a clearing, and for a moment, the noise stops. Just a brief second later, a huge beast falls from the sky like a comet. Its landing coincides with a huge bellow that shakes the ground. The rock-like Maw-Krusha looks like a cannonball ready to explode on the Stormcast. On top of it, the hulking Garroth points at the astral templars. His mouth opens and a green burst of saliva jumps forward, followed by a sickening yellow smile. He looks at the twins and bellows.
Them gold is of no respect. Show them a proper scrub!
The two monstrous lieutenants vanish from sight, hiding behind the hulking ranks of brutes. The Stormcast show no reaction to the increasing rage that flows through the horizon.
They took the bait. Send in our winged companions. We have to buy some time. Our brothers are almost here. They'll hammer some sense into these fools!
The battle tactic is Cunning Maneuver. The Imperatant fails to activate Heroic Leadership. The Megaboss activates Heroic Leadership. The Imperatant fails to cast Mystic Shield. The Lord Relicta prays for translocation on the Aether Wings. The Imperatant activates at the double on the Secretors. The Annihilators and 2 units of Vanguard Raptors and Aetherwings deep strike. The Annihilators deal 3 damage to the Brutes and 2 damage to the Ardboys using the Blazing Impact ability. The Megaboss activates all-out defense on the Brutes and Ardboys. The Vanguard Raptors finish off the Brutes. The Vanguard Raptors deal 7 damage to the Ardboys. The Annihilators finish off the Ardboys using the Force of a Falling Star ability. The Megaboss activates Destroyer. The Annihilators activate All-Out Attack. The Megaboss activates All-Out Defense on himself and the Shaman. The Annihilators finish off the Shaman and deal 6 damage to the Megaboss. The Megaboss deals 5 damage to the Annihilators that finish him off using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Stormcast scores 7 victory points. The battle tactic is an eye for an eye. The Megaboss fails to activate Heroic Leadership. The Knight Zephyros activates Finest Hour. The Orruk Warclans activate the Warlord Battalion Extra Command Point. The Megaboss activates Mighty Destroyers on both Gore-gruntas units and himself. The Megaboss activates Touched by the Waaagh, dealing 2 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Megaboss fails to cast Bash 'em Ladz. The Warchanter fails to activate Fixin Beat on the Gore-gruntas. The Warchanters activate Violent Fury on the Gore-gruntas and the Megaboss. The Megaboss activates Fasten. The Sequitors activate Redeploy. The Megaboss Deep Strikes. The Megaboss deals 2 damage to the Sequitors. The Megaboss activates Waaagh. The Gore-gruntas deal 4 damage to the Sequitors and 2 to the Aetherwings using the Gore-grunta charge ability. The Gore-gruntas suffer 2 damage from the Sequitor's Blaze of Lore. The Megaboss activates Forward to Victory on the Gore-gruntas. The Gore-gruntas deal 3 damage to the Aetherwings using the Gore-grunta charge. The Gore-gruntas finish off the Aetherwings. The Imperatant activates Distinguished Leader and Leadership of the Alpha to give all-out defense on the Sequitors and Knight Zephyros. The Gore-gruntas deal 2 damage to the Knight Zephyros and finish off the Sequitors that deal 2 damage back using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Lord Relictor activates Call for Aid. The Megaboss activates All-Out Attack. The Megaboss deals 2 damage to the Sequitors and finishes off the other Sequitors that deal 1 damage back, using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Sequitors deal 2 damage to the Megaboss. The Knight Zephyros deals 5 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Orruk Warclans score 5 victory points. The battle tactic is United Offense. The Imperatant fails to activate Heroic Leadership. The Megaboss activates Finest Hour. The Lord Relictor prays for a Lightning Storm on the Megaboss, dealing 3 damage. The Lord Imperatant casts Thunder Shock, affecting the Megabosses and the Gore-gruntas. The Annihilators deep strike and deal 5 damage to the Gore-grunta units and 2 damage to the Warchanter using the Blazing Impact ability. The Megaboss activates all-out defense. The Vanguard Raptors deal 4 damage to the Megaboss and 4 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Vanguard Raptors deal 8 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Night Zephyros deals 2 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Annihilators deal 5 damage to the Gore-gruntas using the Force of a Falling Star ability. The Megaboss activates all-out defense on both units of Gore-gruntas. The Annihilators activate all-out attack. The Annihilators deal 3 damage to the Warchanter and 6 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Megaboss activates all-out attack. The Megaboss finishes off the Lord Relictor and deals 2 damage to the Sequitors, but suffers 2 damage from the Blaze of Glory. The Gore-gruntas deal no damage to the Night Zephyros and deal 2 damage to the Annihilators. The Night Zephyros fails to deal any damage to the Gore-grunta. The Gore-grunta finishes off the Night Zephyros that deals 1 damage back using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Warchanter deals no damage to the Annihilators. The Sequitors deal 1 damage to the Megaboss. The Imperator deals 4 damage to the Megaboss. The Stormcast score 3 victory points. The Orruks activate the Warlord Battalion extra command point. The battle tactic is "This one's mine." The Warchanter fails to activate heroic leadership and activates Strike at the opening, dealing 2 damage to the Annihilators. The Imperator activates Strike at the opening, dealing no damage to the Megaboss. The Warchanters activate Violent Fury on the Gore-gruntas and the Megaboss. The Megaboss activates Touched by the Waaagh and deals 2 damage to the Sequitors. The Megaboss casts Arcane Bolt, but it is unbound. The Warchanter fails to activate Fixin Beat on himself. The Megaboss finishes off the Sequitors and takes 1 damage back, using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Warchanter activates Get 'em Beat on himself. The Megaboss activates All-Out Attack on himself and the other Megaboss. The Imperator activates Distinguished Leader and activates All-Out Defense. The Megaboss deals 4 damage to the Imperator. The Annihilators activate All-Out Attack. The Annihilators finish off the Warchanter and deal 12 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Warchanter finishes off the Aetherians. The Megaboss deals 5 damage to the Sequitors. The Imperator deals no damage to the Megaboss. The Gore-gruntas finish off the Annihilators that deal 1 damage to both units of Gore-gruntas using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Sequitors deal no damage to the Megaboss. The Gore-gruntas activate Inspiring Presence. The Orruk Warclans score 6 victory points. The battle tactic is Cunning Maneuver. The Megaboss activates Strike at the opening and finishes off the Sequitors that deal 1 damage back, using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Imperator activates Finest Hour and Strike at the opening, and deals 1 damage to the Megaboss. The Megaboss activates Rally on both units of Gore-gruntas. The Warchanter activates Violent Fury on the Gore-gruntas. The Megaboss activates Touched by the Waaagh and finishes off the Imperator that finishes off the Megaboss using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Sequitors activate Redeploy. The Gore-gruntas deal 2 damage to the Sequitors using the Gore-grunta charge ability, and take 1 damage back, finishing it off using the Blaze of Glory ability. The Sequitors activate All-Out Defense. The Gore-gruntas deal 3 damage to the Sequitors. The Sequitors deal 1 damage to the Gore-grunta. The Orruk Warclans score 6 victory points. The battle tactic is an eye for an eye. The Warchanter activates Heroic Leadership. The Vanguard Raptors finish off the Warchanter. The Vanguard Raptors finish off the Megaboss. The Stormcast score 5 victory points. The battle tactic is Desecrate their lands. The Gore-gruntas activate Rally, returning 1 model. The Gore-gruntas deal 2 damage to the Sequitors using the Gore-grunta charge ability. The Sequitors activate All-Out Defense. The Gore-gruntas deal 3 damage to the Sequitors. The Sequitors deal 1 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Orruk Warclans score 5 victory points. The battle tactic is gaining momentum. The Vanguard Raptors deal 8 damage to the Gore-gruntas. The Vanguard Raptors finish off the Gore-gruntas. The Stormcast score 5 victory points. The Orruk Warclans score 2 victory points. The battle tactic is desecrate their lands. The Stormcast score 5 victory points.